The summer of 2025 in Austin was merciless. Not just hot, oppressive, suffocating, the kind of heat that pressed against your skin like a second, wet layer you couldn't peel off. The temperature had been stuck in the upper 90s for 3 straight weeks, and the heat index regularly climbed past 110. Asphalt shimmered, car interiors became ovens, even the live oaks along Guadalupe Street seemed to droop, their leaves limp and dusty. People moved in slow motion, conserving every unnecessary step. Air conditioners labored and failed. Mine failed spectacularly on a Wednesday afternoon. I came home from my shift at Book People to find the apartment silent except for the pathetic whir of the ceiling fan. No cool blast greeted me at the door. The window unit in the living room was dead, compressor silent, coils warm to the touch. I texted the landlord immediately. Mr. Delgado replied within 20 minutes, technician coming ASAP. Stay cool. In landlord dialect, ASAP meant anywhere from tomorrow morning to sometime before the next ice age. My name is Rachel Miller. 21 that summer, junior year at UT Austin, English major with a creative writing concentration that mostly meant reading too many books and writing too few papers. I worked 20 hours a week at Book People on North Lamar, recommendations, shelving, the occasional storytime session for kids who didn't want to be there. The pay was mediocre, the discount on books excellent, the air conditioning divine. Until I left the store. My roommate Emily Carter was the bright spot in the furnace of that summer. We'd met in Jester Center freshman year, bonded over mutual loathing of 8 a.m. biology labs and a shared obsession with spicy ramen from the 24-hour place on the drag. Emily was architecture, always sketching impossible buildings on napkins, always dragging me to lectures about brutalism that I pretended to understand. She paid rent on time, never left dishes in the sink longer than 24 hours, and knew exactly when I needed quiet versus when I needed to talk for 3 hours about nothing. Our apartment was on West 24th, a converted 1940s house chopped into 4 units. Ours was the back left, 2 small bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people to stand in at once, and a living room with a sagging couch we'd rescued from the curb. We strung fairy lights across the ceiling, hung thrifted art prints, kept succulents on the windowsill that somehow survived despite neglect. It wasn't fancy. It was ours. That Friday, July 18th, I finished my shift at 7:15 p.m. My cotton Book People t-shirt clung to my back like wet paper. My hair, which I'd pinned up at noon, had collapsed into sweaty strands. Customers had been irritable all day, asking for books on staying cool, natural remedies for heat rash, anything to make the next 12 hours bearable. I walked the 15 minutes home under a sky the color of overripe peach, the sun still brutal even at dusk. Emily had texted at 4:47, staying at Josh's all weekend. He's making brisket tacos. Don't hate me. Apartment is yours. Drink all the LaCroix. Love you. Solitude. Blessed, airless solitude. I let myself in, dropped my tote bag on the couch, kicked off my sneakers, and immediately filled a mason jar with ice water. Drank it standing at the sink. Refilled. Drank again. Then straight to the bathroom. The shower started lukewarm and stayed that way. I didn't care. I stood under the stream until my fingertips pruned, letting it rinse away bookstore dust, sweat, the faint smell of old paper and new ink. When I finally stepped out, steam hung in the small room like fog. I wrapped a thin bath towel around myself, pale blue, fraying at the edges, and padded into my bedroom. The room was dim, lit only by the last of the sunset coming through half-closed blinds. I let the towel fall onto the desk chair and opened my closet door. Options were limited. Cut-off denim shorts, tank tops, a couple linen dresses I'd bought on sale last spring. I was reaching for the softest t-shirt I owned when the bedroom door swung wide open. No knock, no warning. Daniel Carter stood in the doorway. Emily's older brother, 24, mechanical engineering graduate, just returned from a 3-month internship in Seattle. I'd met him twice before. Once at Emily's family Thanksgiving in Round Rock, he'd carved the turkey and asked me polite questions about my major, and once when he dropped off a box of Whataburger honey butter chicken biscuits during finals week last December. Tall, just over 6 feet, dark brown hair that always looked slightly wind-tossed, quiet in the way engineers sometimes are, observant, precise, not loud unless necessary. He carried a black duffel bag over one shoulder and a paper grocery sack in his left hand. He wore a faded gray UT Longhorns shirt and navy cargo shorts. His face registered confusion for half a heartbeat, then comprehension, horror, and bright scarlet embarrassment in rapid succession. He spun so fast he almost dropped the groceries. "Oh, Jesus, Rachel, Oh my god. I'm sorry. I thought, Emily said. His voice cracked. He backed up, free hand raised as if to block his own view even though he was already facing the hallway. I snatched the towel from the chair and clutched it to my chest. My pulse thundered in my ears. Heat, different, sharper, more humiliating than the summer kind, flooded my face, my neck, my chest. Daniel, knock. You have to knock. I know, I'm sorry, I'm leaving, right now. I thought the place was empty. Emily said you were working late, she gave me the spare key. He was still backing away, groceries crinkling in the bag. Close the door. The door clicked shut. I stood frozen in the middle of the room, towel pressed tight, breathing like I'd sprinted a mile. My mind looped the last 30 seconds in high definition, standing naked in front of my open closet, backlit by sunset, completely unaware. Him, Emily's brother. The polite, slightly nerdy guy who always remembered my coffee order when he visited. I wanted the floor to open and swallow me whole. For the next 4 hours I didn't leave my room. I dressed, long pajama pants, oversized hoodie despite the heat, locked the door, sat on my bed with my laptop open to a blank Word document, and stared at the blinking cursor. Every sound from the living room made me flinch. The soft thud of his bag hitting the floor, the fridge door opening, water running, the microwave beeping. At one point the smell of popcorn drifted under the door, salty, buttery, maddening because I was starving but too mortified to face him. Around 1:17 a.m., when the apartment had been quiet for nearly an hour, I crept out. Kitchen light off. Living room dark. I grabbed a banana, a bottle of water, and a sleeve of saltines, then retreated like a burglar. Sleep was shallow and restless. I kept replaying the moment. Had he looked away immediately? Had he seen more than a flash? Did he think I was careless? Stupid? God, why hadn't I locked the door? Morning arrived sticky and bright. I showered again, door locked this time, chair wedged under the knob for good measure, then dressed carefully, loose white t-shirt, high-waisted light-wash jeans, hair twisted into a knot. Armor. When I stepped into the kitchen at 9:40, Daniel was already there. He sat at the small round table, notebook open, mechanical pencil moving steadily across the page. He looked up the moment I appeared. His face flushed again, but he didn't look away. Morning, he said quietly. Morning. I moved to the coffee maker. It gurgled to life. I pulled 2 mugs from the cabinet. He cleared his throat. Rachel, can we talk? Just for a minute? I nodded, poured coffee, slid 1 mug across the table to him, black the way I remembered he took it. He wrapped both hands around the mug like it was a lifeline. Yesterday was completely my fault. I should have texted first. I should have knocked. I should have done literally anything except walk straight in. I feel awful. I didn't mean to make you feel exposed or unsafe or anything. I'm so sorry. His voice was steady but miserable. He looked like he hadn't slept much either. I leaned against the counter, cradling my own mug. It was an accident. I overreacted. Let's just pretend it never happened. He exhaled, shoulders dropping half an inch. Thank you. I promise I'll knock from now on. Loudly. I'll announce myself. I don't know, sing happy birthday before entering any room. A reluctant smile tugged at my mouth. That might be worse. He gave a small, sheepish laugh. Probably. Silence settled, not quite comfortable but no longer suffocating. I nodded toward his notebook. What are you working on? He glanced down as if surprised to find it there. Internship notes. We were designing actuators for a new solar array tracking system. Trying to get everything organized for my final report before I forget the details. That sounds complicated. It is, but satisfying. Problems with actual solutions. He hesitated. Emily says you're working on a big paper? Vonnegut. Slaughterhouse 5. Postmodern fragmentation. Due Monday. I have approximately 0 words written. He raised an eyebrow. You've got time. Sort of, I agreed. We talked for nearly 30 minutes, school, Seattle versus Austin weather, the best breakfast tacos in the city. We both agreed Veracruz all-natural still reigns supreme. The conversation was careful at first, then easier. By the time I refilled both mugs, the kitchen felt almost normal. The pizza without me? Rude. She grinned. But seriously, I'm glad you didn't murder each other. Sunday morning we both slept late. The heat had finally cracked overnight, a rare cool front slipped through, dropping the temperature into the low 80s by noon. We opened every window. A breeze moved through the apartment for the first time in weeks. We spent the afternoon on the balcony, 2 mismatched plastic chairs, feet propped on the railing, watching clouds drift over the skyline. I drank a Dr. Pepper. He drank Coke Zero. We talked about everything and nothing. Grad school applications. He was applying to Stanford and MIT, my fear that I'd never finish a novel, Emily's latest fight with Josh over apartment hunting, the way Austin felt different every year. You know, Daniel said eventually, staring at the horizon where the sun was beginning to turn orange, this weekend turned out better than I expected. Even with the world's worst entrance. I groaned, covering my face with both hands. Please don't remind me. I still wake up cringing. He chuckled. Same, but I'm glad we got past it. You're easy to talk to. I peeked through my fingers. You're not terrible company either. For an engineer, high praise. We sat quietly as the sky deepened to rose and violet. Cicadas buzzed. Somewhere down the street, a car stereo played old-school hip-hop. The city hummed. When Emily got home around 9:30 that night, arms full of HEB bags, she found us on the couch debating whether pineapple belonged on pizza. He said yes, passionately. I called it a crime against humanity. She stopped in the doorway. Well, she said, eyebrows sky high. This is adorable. Daniel threw a throw pillow at her. Shut up. I laughed until my sides hurt. That weekend became family legend, carefully edited at first, then told with increasing glee. Whenever Daniel came to visit in the months that followed, he'd pause outside my bedroom door, knock 3 times with exaggerated ceremony, and call out, "Permission to enter, Rachel?" Every single time we collapsed into laughter, Emily rolling her eyes so hard they nearly disappeared, me pretending to be mortified, Daniel grinning like he'd won something. The AC got fixed the following Tuesday. The heat wave broke for good by August. Classes started again, papers got written, life moved forward, but that weekend stayed, not as a scar, but as the beginning of something solid and unexpected. A friendship built on the ashes of the most embarrassing 30 seconds of my life. Sometimes the worst moments are just doors in disguise. And some doors, once opened,